Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
Good morning. Welcome to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM, 312-255-8408. You can also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowitz, the rector of Holy Name Cathedral, and co-host Mark Teresi, executive director of the cathedral. Good morning, Mark. How are you?
Good morning.
Beautiful day. Beautiful day.
Sure is. And we're getting happy and sad at the same time at Holy Name. Father Bill Moriarty is leaving us. He's going to be living at Truly in Evanston. He was with Cathedral for 30 years.
November of 1992.
And we're going to have a special Mass at 12:30. Anybody knows Father Moriarty wants to come, 12:30 Mass following with a reception
in
afterwards.
The courtyard. And realize that he arrived at the age of 52 back in November of 1992. Mm-hmm. He was going to stay for a couple of years. And he's been there 30 years as like a semi-associate, a resident. Great work at the hospital as a chaplain. Hundreds and hundreds of people he has seen. Many people already miss him at the cathedral. And but for those who want to get in contact with him, he's at Truly, Trulee, a beautiful residential home in Evanston, right there on Ridge.
Mm-hmm. Right off a ridge, yeah.
Right off a ridge there, and Father Bill Moriarty. So again, as Mark said, this Sunday, the 12:30 Mass celebration with Father Moriarty, and his way to Santa say goodbye. But when I arrived there 6 years ago, in July of 2016, he welcomed me. But I've known Father. We call him Mort, M-O-R-T for Moriarty,
right.
And I've known Mort since I was a seminarian. He was ordained back in 1966, and just a tremendous, one of the very best we have, Father Moriarty. So if you're around Sunday, 12:30, a Mass for honoring Father Bill Moriarty.
And he's also served with us on the McLaughlin Foundation, where we've given away probably 269 grants, $1.2 million, no administrative expense. We're all volunteers, and he's like our spiritual guide.
And that event is on Monday, October 3rd at the Park Ridge Country Club at the Faith Foundation. We have a couple of honorees, and I think Father Moriarty hopes to be there. And, he was actually a classmate of Father Bob McLaughlin. They're classmates back in 1966. So 312-255-8408. Maybe also Mark is waiting for our guest. We have our guest here today. Wonderful. So with us, via live stream, the Catholic Impact Networking Group guest, Mary Kay Slawikowski and Tom Wazalowski. Do I have their last names pronounced right, Mary Kay and Tom?
Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Now, Mary Kay, pronounce your last name in Polish.
Mine is Slawikowski, which means a lark.
And how about you, Tom? Pronounce your last name.
And mine is Wesolowski.
Veselovsky.
And it means happy family, is what I'm told.
It's interesting because I'm Sakowitz, but in Polish, Sakowicz, and don't know what that means translated.
And my mother was a Staniec, but I don't know what that means either.
Michael May said Sakowicz means happy priest.
Means a joke a minute.
or a joke a minute. Sakowicz. Out of curiosity, Mary Kay, where are you from? Are you from Chicago?
No, I live in Darien, a suburb out west of Chicago, right near Oak Brook, not too far.
Is that where you grew up as a little girl, out in Darien?
What, Father?
Are you from Darien originally?
Where did I grow up?
Yeah, where'd you grow up?
South side of Chicago,
South
St.
side.
Felicitas. We always knew where we grew up by our parishes.
Exactly. And Tom, where'd you grow up?
I was born in the south side of Chicago, but then lived in Wisconsin when I was a child, and then moved back to the Chicago area. And I lived in Darien for a few years, but I've been in Naperville now for about 40 years.
Now, a very important question, Tom, for you.
Oh, here it comes.
In your years in Wisconsin, did you ever become a Green Bay Packer fan?
I did.
Oh, Tom, thank you for joining us on the program. We'll be losing you in a minute. We'll have just Mary Kay on the program.
Yeah, my young impressionable years,
They always have ways of beating the Bears. And the second game of the season, by the way, Tom, on September 18th, national TV, that Sunday night, the Bears at Green Bay. You can't even call it a rivalry because every year they beat us here or there, year in and year out. That's not a rivalry.
But did you see that stat? Cumulatively, they're one game apart in total victories.
Going back 102 years?
Yeah.
One game.
One game apart.
That I did not know. So listen, the Catholic Impact Networking Group, either Mary Kay or Tom, what is it and when was it founded?
Well, the Catholic Impact Networking Group was founded in around 2017. And the whole idea behind it was we wanted to bring Catholic values to business networking. So what we do is we invite a Catholic speaker to speak to us, and then we have some business networking in our meetings. But I think the value is that you really get to hear how a speaker uses their values, Catholic values, in their work. So we just had Captain Mike Murphy of the Chicago Police Department talk to us a few weeks ago, and he gave us a wonderful program about how he works with the people in the community and also how he helps use his Catholic values with fellow officers. And then we had Angela Adams, and she is in the HR group out in Oak Brook, and she talked about in her human resources role how she brings Catholic values. So that's what our speakers do. When we've had attorneys, we've had mayors, we've had heads of Blistex Corporation, all across the board, wonderful people who share their Catholic values. And then we get a chance to ask some questions and network among the group of people that arrive for our events.
Now, Tom, are you and Mary Kay the founders of this group?
We are not the original founders. However, I guess around the beginning of 2018 or so is when we both came into the group, the end of 2018. And we ended up, there were some people that could not continue on with running the group. So Mary Kay, myself, and several others, about 5 other people, stepped up and took over the role of steering committee. And so we together we work. We meet monthly. We work on procuring speakers and crafting their message, helping them to craft their message. Making sure that they work in how they rely on their Catholic faith and their Catholic values as they work through their business life.
Now, Mary Kay, how has it impacted you in terms of your looking at business and the values, Catholic values that hopefully permeate your day-to-day?
I started a woman's own business back in the middle 70s. Speaking and training business. And I have always used Catholic values because I became very involved in social justice committees and opened a food pantry that's still opened out in the western suburbs. So it has just enhanced what I've been doing most of these years in loving my church and being totally involved, but also bringing those values into a woman business-owned organization.
Now, a question either for Mary Kay or Tom, what makes values Catholic?
Tom?
Well, I think that as you know, getting back to our tagline of bringing Catholic values to business networking, I thought about that, Father. I thought about, what does this actually mean? And, in my opinion, I think that what we try to do is develop not only business relationships, but develop our relationships that are going to help us to get closer to God on our journey, our faith journey. And so we focus on not only developing business, but also developing that relationship. And so we discuss a lot of different aspects of Catholic values. We talk about what we're involved in when we're not in church. How are we developing our faith? Are we doing food pantries like Mary Kay mentioned? Are we, working with Catholic? I know personally I've developed a relationship with a gentleman at Catholic Charities in the Joliet Diocese. I've gotten involved in the mobile food pantries there, and so it helps us to develop the relationships that are going to lead us closer to God. Also, in addition to helping us with our business, and I know Mary Kay mentioned that she has personally benefited from those relationships, and I have also. And I like to think that I have benefited others in introducing them to other people that I know. And so that's a big part of it is, we always want to try to give first, and then hopefully we'll receive. And so that's, I think, part of the Catholic values of the group.
I think that's a great response. And my question was not meant to be a trick question because, I think even the title of your group, the Catholic Impact Networking Group, if we truly live our Catholicism rooted in Jesus Christ and the Scripture, we should be making a difference. And I think of words like honesty, integrity. Here's a great definition of integrity. Integrity means our words and actions fit. So if someone calls you a man of integrity, a woman of integrity, they've given you a tremendously high compliment because they're saying is your words and actions fit. Mark, you have a question there?
Yeah, I was wondering, Tom, as you look at your professional career in the insurance industry, and some people think of the insurance industry as a good industry, and some people think of it as a manipulative type industry. How do those values that you learn as being part of this network, how does that impact you with the clients that you work with?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that, honesty and integrity is so important in our business because there are those in the past that, there have been examples of people who maybe, were in it mainly for themselves and, and maybe not always put the customer first. And so I think being with a Catholic values-based company, we put that as our most important principle of doing business. And, our mission is to help fellow Catholics to become financially secure. And so that's something that is so important. We want to make sure we're responsive. We want to make sure people understand what they have, what they're if they're buying something, and we want to make sure that they know what they're buying. And so honesty and integrity is really, really key in our business. And I believe that you're not going to be successful long term unless you abide by that.
No. Now, Michael and Javi, stay on that picture you had of Tom for a second. Go back to the picture of just Tom on the screen. I got to show you something. For those watching YouTube, if you look over Tom's right shoulder, that's my all-time favorite painting on the wall there, The Return of the Prodigal Son by Rembrandt. Am I correct, Tom?
That's right.
I know very little about music, and I know a little about classical music and classical art.
Oh, you're a Renaissance priest.
Oh, yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, but that's my all-time favorite painting is for those watching YouTube. Tom, you can't do any better than The Return of the Prodigal Son. God, all loving, all forgiving, compassionate, merciful. God runs after us to forgive us. Mark, take us to break.
Beautiful. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowicz, Mark Teresi here. You can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back in a few minutes to continue our conversation on the Catholic Impact Networking Group. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities' Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving, and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning. Because really, you are changing lives. You are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
Do you have an old bicycle that's not being used? Consider donating it to Catholic Charities' Veterans Bike Project of Lake County. Skilled volunteers are refurbishing bicycles to make them safe and ready to be used by veterans to get to and from their new places of work. We also gratefully accept financial contributions that are used to purchase bike helmets and other safety accessories. Our veterans have faithfully served the United States, and now it is our privilege to serve them. For more information on the Veterans Bike Project of Lake County, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
Back, WNDZ 750M, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408, or you can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're talking about the Catholic Impact Networking Group, and our guests today are Mary Kay Lark and Tom Happy Family. And Mary Kay, I have a question. Those were great translations of their names, and easier to say than their names. Anyway. Mary Kay,
Polish names.
You said something that intrigued me early on. You were talking about a business startup in the 70s. And as a woman in business, you were a pioneer then in terms of leadership in a business. What were the challenges you saw as you did your business as startup?
It was called the Old Boys Network at the time. And it was made up, of course, of men who had already been in business. And what the hard part was is that they were helping each other grow, helping them into management. And women were not, at that point, most of them were working as executive assistants and did not have a management role. So I was lucky, and I know women were at the time, that some men took an interest in me and helped me move into the business where men made the decisions and then gave me the opportunity to be able to give my programs. What I in turn did is that I started 2 women's associations, Women in Management and Women in Careers. And I turned around and I helped women grow. And because I had been given the opportunity, that was the neat part about being the pioneer. I helped other women in business, and we had 400 women that would come to a Women in Management meeting. And the interesting part is the only managers that were women at that time were in the banking industry. Wow. No other industry had women in management. So we had to really begin to grow, and we did. And look at us today, huh? It's wonderful.
So, Mary Kay, then you must have faced a lot of obstacles along the way, with some people saying, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? So, certain men took an interest to help you promote your career because they saw the giftedness and values you were bringing. But I'm sure it was a very bumpy road along the way.
Very, very bumpy. I remember one time I went into a networking meeting, and I could see the men circling, almost like Indians circling and coming together as soon as they saw me, so that I couldn't get inside that circle. I couldn't even get beside that circle of men. And that, you just had to keep going. You just had to, the Holy Spirit has helped me a lot. And I believe that I did the thing I feared to do, and that was the death of fear. I just kept on moving forward because I knew that along the way there were people that did help me. And especially when I got into helping women, there were a lot of women who were in the executive secretaries who then really helped me and got me into organizations. So
that's
great. What a great story.
What a story.
Now, Tom, as you hear that story, it's funny because, Mary Kay, the next question I was going to ask both of you, and Tom, I'll ask you first because you already answered it, Mary Kay. Where does the Holy Spirit fit into this whole process for you?
Yeah.
It is. The Holy Spirit is essential to guiding me every day in all that I do. I pray for the Lord to send the Holy Spirit to guide me in my relationships, and our business is one in which you have to be very persistent and follow up with people. Maybe a little more than they might like sometimes, but it's the Holy Spirit guides me as far as how to follow up with each individual person that I encounter. I think as far as how many, when to call them, when to email them, etc., and just the overall, guiding me to help them to do the right thing for them. So I think it's very very important. And the other thing is I contract new agents. So in that whole process, I ask for the guidance of the Holy Spirit to guide me to the right people that are going to benefit from being associated with us. That's now,
along those lines, a question for both Tom and Mary Kay. How has the Catholic Impact Networking Group impacted your life?
I think the speakers, especially, we've had exceptional speakers. And when Bill Caruso of DeVry University, he's a senior lawyer over there, and when he talked about some of the decisions they have to make in the upper echelon, and with the top VPs, that he brings his Catholic values into those decisions. And I love the idea of the fortitude of these people, that they have such good values, Catholic values. And I think it's impacted me to continue doing what I'm doing. And it's the same, just to bring my values as I age and as I go on in life, that I never forget the wonderful upbringing I received as a Catholic and continue to receive. So that is what has helped me and impacted me.
Same question for you, Tom.
Yeah, I would say that just meeting some great Catholic role models, and as far as how they are pursuing their faith, the things that they're doing, to make a difference in the world, a positive difference in the world, and how they implement their Catholic values in their business life. I think that has been so helpful for me to see how others have done that and some of the things that they're involved in. It makes me feel very much inadequate, like I need to do much more outside of my business life, as far as helping others. And I believe it's prompted me to really put a lot more thought behind that and get involved in helping other people in a number of different ways, through Catholic Charities and through some other ministries that I'm supportive of. So, very, very, very impactful, as the name implies.
Well, can I just add one thing? We are very open to non-Catholics and everyone to come to our meetings. We have a Catholic speaker, but we have many people who have been Catholics and have fallen away. And we are very open to bringing them together and loving them and helping them. I just had a call from a woman who was at our last meeting, and she wanted to know what church I go to and how she and her partner, a woman partner, could get involved, that they are turned away from many churches. And I mentioned the church, Old St. Pat's, where I go downtown, and that we're very open to everyone. So that made me feel very good that I could do that for someone in our audience who was a fallen away Catholic and wanted to come back. So I wanted to mention that we're open to everyone.
And I know, Father Greg, we're going to close, but it reminded me as you both are talking, I can't remember the saint, but this week I read a quote, and it talks about how things grow. And the quote is, how wonderful the work would be when we dispose ourselves to Christ's will.
That's a beautiful line.
So the idea that once we say yes to Christ, things will happen beyond what we can imagine.
Now, before we close, either Mary Kay or Tom, when is the next event, and how can people be involved with this tremendous group? A phone number, an email, a website?
Yeah, great question. So the next meeting is actually next week. It's a week from today. It's September 15th. And the way we work at the format of the organization is that we do every other month, we do a social get together, and we meet in Oak Brook at Maggiano's. And the next one is 5:30 on September 15th. It's a social. And you can find out more about it by going to LinkedIn and typing in the search bar, type in Catholic Impact Networking Group. And you'll see there's some flyers posted in there with all the details regarding the events that are coming up. So September 15th is the next one. And then we have a great speaker in October 21st. His name is Dennis Mellon. And he's a former Air Force pilot and captain, and then an Air Force. He was an airline pilot, and he has a remarkable story to tell, and it'll be a really great event. And this is a real nice, a neat thing for us because it's going to be one of our first live meetings. That's at 7 a.m. at the same place, Maggiano's.
No, wait, it's 7 a.m.?
Yeah,
7 a.m.
before the workday starts.
Yeah.
Oh,
we've been doing our networking events via Zoom, and this is the first one we're going to go back to live in a while.
Great.
And
great.
We have been doing our social events live for the last, I say from the beginning of this year. But anyway, so we're real excited about that. We're going to get back together at the old-fashioned networking face-to-face.
In person.
Nice.
We want to thank in a very special way our guests this morning, Mary Kay Slowakowski and Tom Wozolowski, the Catholic Impact Networking Group. Tom and Mary Kay, you've been tremendous guests. Hopefully we'll have you back on again. God bless both of you, and thank you. This is Catholic Chicago on WNDZ, 750 AM, 312-255-8408. You can also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowitz, Mark Teresi. The time is 8:31 in Chicago on this beautiful day. Stay with us, and again, do not touch that dial.
We are hiring. Catholic Charities of the Archdiocese of Chicago is looking for mission-driven individuals who want to help make a positive difference in the lives of people in need throughout Cook and Lake counties. Be part of a diverse, talented team of professionals in the largest human services organization in the Midwest. We are dedicated to helping people chart a more stable, happier future for themselves, and we accompany anyone in need, regardless of faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. Competitive salaries and generous benefits add to the satisfaction you'll have every day, knowing that you're helping us amplify our impact in Chicago. To see our list of employment opportunities, visit CatholicCharities.net.
I can't imagine myself going into any other school.
Our school fosters growth by being a backbone to our family.
My kids are incredibly well-rounded. I see a lot of kindness in them on a daily basis.
One of the things I think Catholic schools do well is personalize the learning experience. You can hear joy in the classrooms.
I feel that I'm happy that I am in this kind of school.
Our school communities provide students with academic excellence and character education in a supportive and stable learning environment. Come see for yourself. Visit archchicago.org/findaschool.
Ancestry and genealogy are more important every day. People all over the world are wanting to learn more about their family heritage for personal and for health reasons. At Catholic Charities, we are hearing from adults who lived for a brief time at St. Vincent's Orphanage, the wonderful life-affirming agency that operated out of our headquarters for 91 years, serving thousands of women, children, and families until it closed in 1972. Our post-adoption services help adults who want to learn more about their experience at St. Vincent's. Our compassionate staff members provide whatever family background information they can offer, along with support and reunion services. To learn more, call 312-655-7093. That's 312-655-7093. The spirit of St. Vincent's lives on in the inspiring stories that continue to emerge today.
The cemetery ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
Catholic Charities has had the privilege of helping people in need in Cook and Lake County for more than 100 years. We would like to take this opportunity to thank our frontline workers who, despite the unprecedented challenges of the past 2 years, continue to excel at their jobs every day. From the warehouse staff members who pack boxes of nutritious foods for low-income seniors, to the dedicated WIC employees who have remained open for families with children under the age of 5, to our volunteers and restaurant partners who ensure that meals are available for those experiencing hunger, to our service coordinators and our professional counselors who continue their vital work in innovative ways, to our food pantry staff, and to all those who work at Catholic Charities Call Center, finding solutions for every person who reaches out to us for help. Charity is at the heart of all you do, and we salute you.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
And welcome back to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM, 312-255-8408. You can also get us on youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. Father Greg Sakowitz along with Mark Teresi. Mark, that was a great first half hour with Mary Kay and with Tom.
Very inspiring. And Mary Kay, pioneer, and she's doing God's work.
Yeah, and it just the responses, they're so rooted in their faith, but they bring it to the workplace because you just don't go to Mass on Sunday, leave it there. Once you leave those exit doors, you now live it.
Remember what Leo Mann always said at St. Mary of the Woods? Yeah, he said, the Eucharist does not make sense until you walk out that exit sign and live it.
Yeah, and also, when you say the Mass is ended, in some ways the Mass is just beginning.
Exactly.
It's just beginning.
Exactly.
Tremendous second half program lined up, backed by popular demand. Helen Reichert Lambin, author of An Empty Space in Your Heart, Reflections on the Death of a Sibling or Best Friend, joins us for the second half of the program. Helen, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Father Greg. How are you?
Good. You are so dynamic, and you got a beautiful smile, and your hair is beautiful. Those that can see on YouTube, your hair is beautiful this morning, Helen.
Thank you. Well, with COVID-19, I couldn't get it cut, so nature took over.
Me too.
And you let it grow, and Mark too.
And Javi too, and Michael too,
and Michael too, our producers.
We all have the same hairdo.
We'll be waiting for the second coming before they grow hair. So, Helen, how have you been?
Well, let's say well.
Good.
All things considered, let's say well.
Now, this is your latest book, author of An Empty Space in Your Heart, Reflections on the Death of a Sibling or Best Friend. And now you've written how many books so far, Helen?
I think 5. Let's see. Grief to Grace, Death of a Husband, 2 books on prayer. 8 is 6.
6 books. I wrote an article once. Now, what inspired you to write this latest book?
Well, we were having a discussion with Greg Pierce, the publisher.
Sure.
And
tremendous
he
man.
was talking about needing a series. We were doing a series, they had a series, different books, Death of a Husband, Death of a Wife, Death of a Parent. And said, what about Death of a Sibling? And at that point, my siblings are both alive. And Mary Doyle said, what about Death of a Sibling and Best Friend? And I said, perfect. Perfect, because of course, I've lost siblings, and by now I've lost both my older siblings, and of course a lot of very dear friends.
And you lost your husband when?
I lost today would be my wedding anniversary.
Oh, really? How many years would that? How many years would that have been?
He was a wonderful man.
You were married in what year, Helen?
Thank you.
Now, what year were you married? What year?
Pardon?
What year were you married?
1962.
So today would have been your 60th
It would be
wedding
60
anniversary.
years. And I guess I should say what inspired me with these books is it's my way of one of my ways of dealing with loss. This is what started the whole thing of writing about it. This is my way of one way I deal with loss.
Were you a writer in your earlier life? Like, was it interesting to you in high school or grammar school, or where did the writing bug come from?
I lived in a small town, and there was a little local weekly newspaper, and they always had a high school column, and so a friend of mine and I wrote it from our senior year. And I think I edited the yearbook, and I think the school newspaper, but it's so long I'm not sure. But yes. But on the other hand, when I was in college, I hated writing term papers. This was the computer.
Makes two of us. Now, it's interesting for you, writing is a way of grieving. And I always say this, grieving is a process, recovery is a decision, but grieving we must. Grieving we must with the help and grace of God. And so when people say, ask how they're doing, oh, I'm over it. No, you never get over the death of a loved one.
Exactly.
You never do. And so maybe in your own words, when you say that the writing has helped you with your grieving process in the loss of your husband, in the loss of siblings, in the loss of your best friend, maybe just for a moment, Helen, how do you define grief?
Pardon?
How do you define grief? How do you define grieving?
I define grief? I think emptiness is a good word. It's a combination of a kind of psychological pain, and it can even be like a physical pain where you feel different, and this sense of loss and displacement, that things aren't the way they should be.
Great words.
And you're absolutely right. As someone else said, you don't get over it, you learn to live with it.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about it as an empty space, what else?
Yes.
What else is in your heart besides that empty space?
I think a sense of always wanting to go back. Why can't I go back in time? Why can't things be the way they were? And can this really have happened?
Right. Yeah. A disbelief.
Can this really have happened? I can remember when my husband died, it was a sense of disbelief. I had this fantasy, this is a mistake. They'll come to the door and say, it's a mistake. Now, it's completely illogical, but you want to get rid of this, whatever just happened.
Yeah. Let's continue our conversation in a few minutes. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowitz, Mark Tracy. You can go to youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We'll be back in a few minutes, and we'll talk to Helen Reichert Lambin about An Empty Space in Your Heart, her latest book, Reflections on the Death of a Sibling or Best Friend. We'll be back in a few minutes. Please stay tuned.
Catholic Charities' Refugee Resettlement Program has been especially busy this year, assisting individuals and families who have fled dangerous situations in their homeland, including Afghanistan and the Ukraine. The Refugee Resettlement Team helps with everything they need to start to rebuild their lives in a new country, including housing, employment, clothing, food, English classes, and referrals for legal and immigration services. The refugees are tremendously grateful for the compassion and practical help they're receiving. and they're giving back and helping each other plan for a brighter, safer future. Volunteer opportunities are currently available for those who would like to be family mentors and tutors so children and adults can practice English. To learn more about these rewarding opportunities, call 312-655-7096. That's 312-655-7096.
We are at the Most Blessed Trinity Parish Food Pantry in Waukegan.
And here we care for people in need. There was definitely an uptick in the needs for services.
We doubled our volume after COVID hit, from servicing about 250 families a week to about 500 a week. We supply bread, tortillas, vegetables, milk, cheese, butter, proteins, fish, chicken, eggs.
Well, the annual Catholic Appeal has been a tremendous help to us, especially over the past year and a half.
Without the annual Catholic Appeal, we might have to close our doors. Our parish is the largest one in the Archdiocese, but is very poor. We think about food and we think about nourishment, but we also nourish the soul, provide that connection to humanity.
The good works here are made possible through the annual Catholic Appeal. Make your gift at annualcatholicappeal.com.
Ancestry and genealogy are more important every day. People all over the world are wanting to learn more about their family heritage for personal and for health reasons. At Catholic Charities, we are hearing from adults who lived for a brief time at St. Vincent's Orphanage, the wonderful life-affirming agency that operated out of our headquarters for 91 years, serving thousands of women, children, and families until it closed in 1972. Our post-adoption services help adults who want to learn more about their experience at St. Vincent's. Our compassionate staff members provide whatever family background information they can offer, along with support and reunion services. To learn more, call 312-655-7093. That's 312-655-7093. The spirit of St. Vincent's lives on in the inspiring stories that continue to emerge today.
We're back. WNDZ, 750 AM, Catholic Chicago, 312-255-8408. Father Greg Sakowitz, Mark Teresi here.
Mark, would you believe I just saw Michael May turn the microphone over to you, and he smiled. Michael, you smiled. He's really a great guy. We love to give Michael
I had a line,
hard
but
time.
I won't say it. 312
love to give both these guys a hard time.
8408, youtube.com/Catholic Chicago. We're with Helen Reichert Lambin, talking about her new book, An Empty Space in Your Heart, Reflections on the Death of a Sibling or Best Friend. Helen, we're also trying to get this book out to folks. So 2 questions. One is, who should consider getting this book? Why? And then how do they get this book?
When I'm writing, I'm talking to people who have experienced loss. We understand each other. It's like we're having a conversation. Some of the people I know, some of the people I don't know. So I think it'd be for someone who is grieving the loss, obviously, of a sibling, but also someone who's best friend, because sometimes your friends are like siblings.
Oh,
it's
sure.
a crossover too. They may not be your blood siblings, but they're your siblings. And I think we're having a conversation, I'm talking to them, or with them rather, and it's not all my experiences. I'm trying to draw in experiences that I've heard of, experiences of my own, experiences we go through with this kind of loss.
Beautiful.
And the way you can get it is,
I know it's Acta
through Act Publications,
which is
and
ACTA.
I can give the phone number. Can you get it for me, Rosemary? It's here somewhere.
Your desk looks like my office.
Here. It's Acta Publications, and I'm looking for the phone number. My technical services manager is looking. This is it.
Okay, what is it? You got there, Helen?
Oh, here it is. This is my technical services manager, who is also my daughter, luckily. It's 800-397-2282.
That number once again.
It's 800-397-2282. The book has gone as far as Germany.
No kidding.
I'm in a Zoom harmonica class at Old Town School, and one of my classmates on Zoom is in Germany, and she's bought my book and wants to buy some more books of it. And another friend that I've never met is in New York, and so she's bought the books for herself and other people.
Well, we got to keep getting the book out there. You know, Helen, you said something earlier that really intrigued me. When you lose a loved one, be it a death of a friend, a best friend, sibling, husband, wife, mother, father, you want to go back in time. You want to go back in time and recapture, because I find my own life, my mother died in January of 2020, and I want to go back in time and capture those times when I was with my mother, to talk with her, be with her. And even when I go to places like Mundelein Seminary, where I was ordained back in '79, my mother spent time at the seminary with me for visiting. And so when I go to places where my mother's been, I want to go back and be there with her. So say more about when you lose a loved one, you want to stop the clock and go back in time to recapture that time with that person.
I think what you expressed, wanting to go back in time, I mean, at the time, you're taking these things for granted. You're very glad to have these people, but you take it for granted. You don't realize that each day is a gift. And I think today, if I could go back in time, first of all, 60 years and be on my way to the church now, or go back in time to any ordinary day where these people you loved are there. They walk through your door. You sit down with them at a table. Maybe you're just in the same room with them, or you know that at the end of the day or at the end of the week you'll see them. No. And time is the great barrier. We can travel through space, we can make it to the moon, we may make it to Mars, but we can't go back in time, and that's the big barrier, and that's what makes it so difficult.
Great response.
And the memories provide a richness in our lives. Helen, 60 years ago, your wedding day, what do you remember?
Well, I remember it was really odd because my husband came to pick me up to go on our honeymoon, and he locked something out. He forgot it. He pushed the back door of the house he lived in that was later my home. He caught his hand in the window. He got his wrist all cut.
Bloody.
So we had to stop at an emergency room at St. Francis Hospital. And we walked in, and I could say my husband these wonderful words. Yeah. I said, "Can someone help my husband? He's cut his wrist." And the intern says, "Is this a suicide attempt?" I said, "My God, no, we just got married." And so after that,
that's a great story.
That's a great story. Which means he cut his wrist on your wedding day in the evening, and you had to take him to the hospital?
Yes.
That's a great story.
Yes, we're there so we're there in the emergency room on a Saturday night, and it was a quiet Saturday night. So interns kept coming in who were bored, and residents to see the girl who put her husband in a hospital
on their wedding day. That is.
On my well, yes, it was. By this time, it's the next day because it's past midnight because we had to wait a while. It's an emergency room.
That is amazing.
They had done something for the immediate thing, but I'm waiting, sitting in the waiting room, waiting for my husband. So it was an interesting start.
That is one of the funniest stories we have ever heard
Yeah.
on radio. We've been on this radio program many, many years, I'm sure from Michael and Javi too. That is an absolute classic story. Helen, you just made our day, you just made our week. Before we close here, Helen, one question, that is, say something more about that you want to be able to go back in time, but also it's never the same when you lose someone. You know, when people say to me, "Oh, you'll get over it," you never get over it. You learn to live with it. Say something more about that. Say something more about that.
Exactly. This, you'll get over it. At one time, my husband was a psychologist. At one time, the American Psychiatric Journal, grief should last only 6 months, and after that it shouldn't. And they long since revised that.
Right.
Long since revised it. This isn't like some kind of bad cold. You don't get over it. It's there with you. The person isn't there.
Yeah.
Susie Yale, who did Rainbows for God's Children about loss, one of the things she had said was minimally, you need to be grieving seriously for 5 years before you start to heal. And she said a lot of times people rush that process, and then they're dealing with their grief totally throughout their lives because they've never really allowed themselves emotionally and physically to heal.
That makes a lot of sense. Who said that?
Susie Yale, who's since passed away, she's founded Rainbows for God's Children. It's a program where young people talked about loss in their life, either through death or divorce. And and then Greg and I were actually at the college where we kind of piloted the program for young adults.
For seminarians.
Yeah.
Who lost. I think also.
That's right. I think I worked with that program as a volunteer. It was for children, yes.
Yeah. Exactly. You probably it was Rainbows for all God's children.
Yes.
Children in the loss of a divorce, a death. So maybe for a moment in the last minute here, Helen, talk about different types of grieving. We talk about the death of a loved one, but also a loss of a job can be a grief. A divorce is a grief, a dying. So talk about different types. Talk about for a moment different types of dying.
Certainly, loss of a job. It could be moving to a different town, a different place. It can be something as simple as the giving up your car keys. As you get older, it could be something like in moving from a long time home when people move into different living space. Certainly for someone that goes into a nursing home. It could be, obviously, yes, you said loss of a job, which is true.
It does go
There's
on
so
and
many
on.
different types of dying.
Helen, we need to bring the program to a close.
You lose the ability to do things you were able to do.
That's a good way of saying you lose the ability to do things you could do or with somebody. So, Helen, I want to thank you in a very special way for being with us. Helen Reichert Lambin, author of An Empty Space in Your Heart, Reflections on the Death of a Sibling or Best Friend. Helen, you'll be back on the program again. You were a tremendous guest. Thank you very much. Special thanks to co-host Mark Teresi, producer engineers Michael May, Javi Garcia. To all, God bless. Have a wonderful weekend coming up.
Thank you. It was nice to see you both.
Bless you.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.